Ava Miller always walked home the same way after her late shift, head down, hands buried deep in the pockets of her thin jacket, hoping the Brooklyn wind wouldn't cut straight through her bones. That night, the cold felt sharper, meaner, the kind that made people hurry their steps. But Ava stopped, because someone was crying. The sound was so soft she almost missed it, just a tiny whimper carried on the wind. She froze, glanced around, and saw a little girl curled beside a closed deli door, shivering so violently her teeth clicked. Snow dusted her dark hair. Her small fingers were purple. Ava's heart dropped. "Sweetheart? Where's your mom or dad?" The girl didn't answer. She just hugged herself tighter, eyes glossy with fear. Ava crouched, trying not to scare her. "Hey, you're freezing. Come here." She shrugged off her warmest coat, the only nice thing she owned, bought secondhand after months of saving, and wrapped it gently around the girl's shoulders. The little one stiffened at first, then melted into the warmth. "It's okay," Ava whispered. "You're safe." But then she heard it, the sudden screech of tires. A black SUV slid to the curb, doors snapping open. Men in dark coats rushed toward them with the precision of trained shadows. One of them barked into a radio, another scanned the rooftops, and the little girl gasped, "Papa!" Ava stood up slowly, chest tightening. She'd seen men like this, broad shoulders, sharp eyes, the kind who carried danger the way others carried wallets. But nothing prepared her for the man who stepped out from the back seat. Tall, controlled, wrapped in a black wool coat that probably cost more than her yearly rent. His face carved in cold lines, expression unreadable. His gaze hit the child first, and something fierce flickered there. Then he looked at Ava, and the world seemed to still. He walked toward them with deadly calm, his men splitting apart like a tide. Snow crunched beneath his expensive shoes. When he reached them, he knelt beside the little girl, brushing her cheek with a gentleness that didn't match the steel in his posture. "Ella, sweetheart, are you hurt?" She shook her head. "She helped me. She gave me her coat." His eyes rose slowly to Ava's face, dark, assessing, impossible to read. "You touched my daughter," he said quietly, not accusing, not grateful, just stating something he was trying to interpret. Ava swallowed. She was freezing. I couldn't leave her. For a moment, he didn't move. Snow drifted between them, carried on the wind like falling ash. Then he stood, towering over her. "Get her into the car," he ordered his men, "and bring the woman, too." Ava's breath caught. "Wait." "I didn't do anything wrong." His gaze pierced straight through her. Calm. Cold. Final. "You helped my child," he said. "That means your life just changed, whether you want it to or not." And behind him, another SUV turned the corner, one that wasn't his. Its headlights locked on Ava like a threat waiting to unfold, and everything inside her whispered that this night was only the beginning. Ava Miller sat rigidly in the back seat of the black SUV, clutching the straps of her worn canvas bag like it was the only solid thing left in her world. She had never been inside a vehicle this expensive. The leather seats alone felt like they cost more than everything she owned combined. The city lights of Brooklyn blurred past the tinted windows, her reflection pale and wide-eyed. She wasn't supposed to be here. She was supposed to be locking up the cafe, texting her mom goodnight, reheating leftover pasta, and falling asleep with the heater buzzing beside her thrift store bed. A quiet life. A predictable life. But now she was sitting beside a child who wasn't hers, wrapped in her only warm coat, leaning gently against her shoulder as if she had known Ava forever. "Are you okay?" Ava whispered. Ella nodded sleepily. "You made it warm." Ava's throat tightened. "I'm glad." In the front seat, the driver kept glancing at her through the rearview mirror, professional, stone-faced, but curious, as though trying to understand who this ordinary girl was and why the boss had taken interest. The boss. Ava swallowed hard. Luca Moretti rode in the SUV behind them. She didn't need anyone to explain who he was. Brooklyn whispered about men like him, powerful, untouchable, dangerous in ways regular people couldn't imagine. She had accidentally stepped into a world she had spent her whole life avoiding. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a text from her manager. "Ava, you okay?" "You didn't clock out." She typed back quickly. "Emergency." "We'll explain." She didn't hit send. Her hand shook too much. The SUV slowed, stopping near a quiet side street. The driver turned, voice low but respectful. "Miss Miller, the boss wants a word." Ava's heart thudded so loud, she was sure the child could hear it. She brushed Ella's hair gently, then stepped out into the cold. Luca Moretti stood under a street lamp, snow settling on the shoulders of his dark coat. His presence swallowed the air around him. Sharp eyes studied her, like she was a problem he needed to solve. "You work at the cafe on Fulton Street," he said. Not a question. "Yes, sir." "You helped my daughter." His gaze softened for half a breath, barely enough to notice. "People don't usually do that without wanting something." Ava lifted her chin. "I didn't want anything." His expression sharpened. "That's what I'm trying to figure out." And then, from the end of the street, a shadow moved. Someone watching her. Someone who knew her. Luca noticed first. His eyes narrowed, and everything in the air shifted. The shadow at the end of the street moved again, just enough for Luca Moretti to shift his stance. It wasn't dramatic. It was the kind of subtle adjustment a predator made when he sensed another predator nearby. Ava didn't understand it at first, just felt the sudden density in the air, the quiet tension pulling tight like a wire. Luca spoke without looking away from her. "Stay behind me." His voice had changed lower, edged with command that tolerated no argument. Before Ava could protest, he stepped slightly forward, placing his body between her and the dark figure watching from the corner. One of his men moved in the same instant, hand discreetly resting near his jacket where a weapon might be hidden. The shift in energy was terrifying, and yet Ava felt strangely protected. The man from the shadows finally backed away, slipping into an alley until he disappeared completely. Only then did Luca turn to face her fully. "Does that man know you?" he asked. Ava hesitated. I'm not sure. It might be just been someone passing by." "No." Luca's tone was flat, unforgiving. "He was watching you. People don't watch strangers like that unless they want something." He paused, eyes narrowing as if trying to read something deeper. "Or unless they recognize you." Ava folded her arms tightly. "I told you I'm not part of anything dangerous. I work at a cafe. I clean tables, make lattes, go home, sleep, repeat. That's my entire life." Luca studied her, and it wasn't the kind of stare men gave when they liked what they saw. It was deeper, sharper, like he was searching for weaknesses, gaps, truths she might not even know she carried. "Ordinary people," he said slowly, "don't just stumble into my child in the middle of a freezing night. Not unless someone wanted to hurt her, or hurt me." Ava felt sick. "I didn't stumble into her. She was alone. She was freezing. I couldn't walk away. Anyone with a heart would have done the same." A quiet breath escaped him, almost a laugh, but not warm enough to be one. "You'd be surprised how few people have hearts left." Ava blinked. "And what about you?" For a second, just a second, something vulnerable flickered in Luca's eyes, something almost human beneath the armor. But it vanished quickly, swallowed by the cold discipline of a man who didn't allow emotions to control him. "I don't get that luxury," he said. Footsteps approached from behind. One of his men leaned in. "Boss, the street's clear. SUV is ready." Luca nodded. Then he turned back to Ava. "I need answers. And until I have them, you don't walk home alone." His gaze moved over her not intrusively, but assessing. "You helped my daughter. That matters. But it also puts you in danger you don't understand." Ava's voice cracked. "What are you going to do with me?" He stepped closer, the street lamp outlining the stern angles of his face, the shadowed intensity in his eyes. His presence felt overwhelming, yet strangely grounding. Nothing you don't choose, he said quietly. But you're coming with me. For now. Ava shook her head. I can't. My mom, my job, my life. He cut her off gently. Your life changed the moment you took off your coat. And behind him, Ella peeked out the SUV window, reaching her small hand toward Ava, trusting her completely. That was the moment Ava realized there was no turning back. The moment Ava stepped into the penthouse, she knew she didn't belong there. Manhattan glittered below the floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of breathtaking skyline she had only ever seen on postcards taped above cafe espresso machines. Everything smelled faintly of cedar and something expensive she couldn't name. She kept her arms close to her sides, terrified of touching anything. Luca didn't slow down. He walked with the focus of a man used to motion, used to danger, used to life bending around him. His men disappeared into various rooms, speaking into comms, sweeping corners. Ava stood near the entrance, clutching her bag, feeling like a stray cat dragged into a mansion. Ella, still wrapped in Ava's coat, held her hand tightly. It's warm here, the little girl whispered. Ava smiled softly. Good. But then Luca spoke. Bring her in. Ava stiffened. Bring me where? He didn't answer. He was already striding toward a tinted glass office at the end of the hall. Ella tugged Ava forward. Reluctantly, Ava followed. Inside, the room buzzed with low, tense voices. Two men stood over a table scattered with photographs, maps, and printed emails. A security feed was paused on a frame, Ella outside the deli door, alone, shaking. Ava's stomach twisted. You were watching her? Not well enough, Luca said sharply. My team was supposed to keep her safe tonight. One of the men spoke without looking up. Boss, we found this. He slid a printed message across the table. A threat. The language was simple, chilling. Next time, she freezes for real. Ava felt the blood drain from her face. Who would do that to a child? Luca's jaw tightened. Someone targeting me. But why hurt her? He finally looked at Ava, really looked, with something fierce and haunted burning behind his eyes. Because she's all I have left. The room fell silent. Ella rested her head against Ava's arm. Ava gently brushed a strand of hair from the girl's cheek. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Luca watched the interaction with an unreadable expression, part suspicion, part calculation, part something softer he didn't seem ready to admit. Another man tapped the surveillance footage. Boss, the timestamp shows the kidnap attempt happened less than 4 minutes before the girl was found. Whoever left her out there knew exactly what they were doing. Ava felt a chill. But why was she alone? Luca exhaled slowly. Because someone inside my circle betrayed me. They lured my men away. Then they left her in the street as bait. Ava's hand flew to her mouth. That's why the man was watching me earlier. Yes. Luca stepped closer, his presence overwhelming the small space. Which is why you can't go home. You aren't just a witness now. You're involved. Ava shook her head. I didn't ask for this. No, he said softly, but you saved my daughter. That makes you a target, and under my protection. Before she could respond, an alarm chimed softly. One of the guards checked his screen. His face drained of color. Boss, the man who was watching Ava earlier, he followed her here. And he wasn't alone. The room fell into a tense, breathless silence. Ava felt the air shift as Luca's men moved with sudden urgency, checking windows, securing entrances. But Luca didn't look alarmed. He looked furious. Controlled fury, the kind that didn't explode but calculated. Show me the feed, he ordered. One guard tapped a screen. The image sharpened. A tall man leaning casually against a black sedan across the street, hands in his coat pockets, face tilted upward like he was studying the penthouse windows. Ava froze. She knew that face. Even from a grainy camera, that smirk, half confidence, half cruelty, sent a wave of old panic crashing through her chest. Adrian Cole. The man who once made her feel seen, special, chosen until he vanished from her life without warning, taking pieces of her self-worth with him. the man who treated her heart like a disposable accessory. "What is he doing here?" she whispered. Luca's gaze whipped toward her. "You know him." It wasn't a question. It was an accusation wrapped in observation. Ava swallowed hard. "A long time ago, we dated. Briefly." Luca stepped closer, eyes sharp. "Did he ever mention me?" "No." Ava shook her head quickly. "I didn't even know he knew your name. He knows exactly who I am." Luca's voice dropped lower, colder. "And he knows you're here. That's why he followed you." Ava pressed a hand to her forehead, trying to breathe. Memories flashed. Adrian taking her out to fancy bars she couldn't afford, whispering promises, then disappearing for weeks. She always knew something was off, but she never imagined this. "But why?" she whispered. One of Luca's men answered, "Because Adrian Cole is the one trying to take down the Moretti family. He wants control of Manhattan's entire underground network." Luca's expression hardened. He's been looking for leverage. "And he just found you." Ava felt her legs weaken. "I'm not leverage. I don't know anything. I'm a barista." "You saved my daughter," Luca cut in. "That makes you something to him." Another guard spoke up, voice tight. "Boss, more activity outside." 2 more men joined him. Ava's pulse thundered. "Oh, God." Luca's eyes softened for the first time. Just a flicker. "You didn't choose this." "But Adrian did." Ava looked up sharply. "You think he left Ella outside?" Luca nodded slowly. "He wanted my men split. Wanted Ella vulnerable. Wanted me angry enough to act recklessly." "And using me?" Ava whispered. "Using you," Luca confirmed, "was an added cruelty. Adrian likes to get personal before he gets violent." Ava's chest constricted. She had always wondered why Adrian pulled her close, then pushed her away. Now she knew it was practice, training, testing how easily he could break someone. A guard's voice sliced through the moment. "Boss, he's crossing the street." Luca straightened, every line of his body turning into steel. "Get Ella to the safe room. Prepare for extraction." Ava stepped back. "Extraction?" Luca looked at her, something fierce and protective blazing in his eyes. "You're not facing him alone. Not tonight." And outside, Adrian lifted his head toward the penthouse, like he already knew Ava was watching. Ava never imagined she'd be inside a mafia penthouse, clutching the trembling hand of a 7-year-old, while armed men prepared for a confrontation with the most dangerous person she'd ever known. She felt like she was floating outside her own life, watching a version of herself make decisions she wasn't built to make. Her lungs burned. Her hands shook. Her heartbeat thudded hard enough to drown out the voices around her. A guard opened a hidden door behind a bookshelf. "Safe room is clear." Ella squeezed Ava's fingers. "Stay with me," she whispered. Ava nodded, throat tight. "I'm not going anywhere." But inside the safe room, when the reinforced door shut and muffled the noise outside, something inside Ava cracked. She pressed her back to the wall and slid down, knees folding beneath her as the reality finally hit. She wasn't safe. Not her. Not Ella. Not her mother waiting at home, thinking Ava would bring her dinner after work. "Are you scared?" Ella asked softly. Ava forced a smile. "A little. But you're safe now. That's what matters." Ella crawled into her lap, tucking her head under Ava's chin. That simple trust, pure, undeserved made tears sting Ava's eyes. "I didn't mean for any of this," Ava whispered to the empty air. "I just gave you my coat." The hum of the ventilation system filled the silence. Ava pressed a palm to her forehead, fighting the dizziness rising in waves. Adrian's shadow felt like it had crawled back into her life through a crack she didn't know she still had. She remembered the way he spoke to her smooth, charming, like he could see into her soul. She remembered how foolish she felt when he left without a goodbye. Now he was outside this building, watching her, wanting something from her, wanting to use her. Again, Ava's breath hitched. "I can't do this," she whispered to herself. But the moment she said it, the door opened. Luca stepped inside, closing it behind him with deliberate calm. He knelt in front of her, his dark eyes steady, focused, strangely grounding. "You're shaking," he said quietly. "I'm not built for this world," Ava choked out. "I serve coffee, I mop floors. I take care of my mom. I don't fight criminals. I don't hide in panic rooms. I can't." "You can," Luca interrupted gently but firmly. "Because you already did." Ava stared at him through blurred vision. "You saved Ella," he said. "In a world full of people who walk past suffering, you stopped. That kind of courage doesn't vanish just because you're afraid." Ava bowed her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I'm terrified." "Good." Luca's voice softened. "Fear keeps you alive, but you're not alone in it." Ella looked between them, then wrapped her arms around Ava's neck, anchoring her. A distant crash echoed through the penthouse, something heavy hitting the floor. Luca rose instantly, jaw tightening. "Hez, inside!" Ava's blood turned to ice, and Luca reached for the door, saying only one thing before leaving stay with her. "No matter what you hear." Long after Luca slipped out of the safe room, Ava stayed on the floor with Ella in her arms, listening to the distant echoes of movement boots striking marble, muffled voices, the tense rustle of men preparing for confrontation. Every sound made her jump. The air inside the panic room felt too thin, like it couldn't hold both her fear and Ella's trembling breath. But minutes passed. Then more. No crashes, no shouting, only a thick, waiting silence. Finally, the door clicked open. Ava jerked, holding Ella tighter, but it was Luca. No blood, no panic, just a storm behind his eyes. "It wasn't him," he said quietly. Ava blinked. "What?" "He didn't try to come inside. He stood in the street and left." His jaw flexed. "He wanted to be seen. He wanted you to know he was close." Ava felt bile rise. "He's letting me know he can reach me." "He won't," Luca said firmly. "Not while I'm breathing." Ava didn't know why, but those words landed in her chest with unexpected weight. He said them like a vow, like a line he'd drawn without hesitation. Ella slipped off Ava's lap and ran to Luca, hugging his leg. "Papa, is she staying with us?" Luca froze for half a second, the Mafia Boss undone by a child's innocence, then rested his hand on Ella's hair. "For tonight." Ava exhaled shakily. She wasn't sure if she felt relieved or trapped. Luca looked at her again, but this time with something different in his expression, something he was clearly fighting to hide. "You need rest," he said. "There's a guest room down the hall. No windows. Safe." Ava nodded, rising on unsteady legs. But when she followed him out of the panic room, she realized the entire penthouse had shifted. Guards lined the hallway, communicating quietly through earpieces. A layout of the building glowed on a tablet in one man's hands. Someone else was reviewing traffic camera footage from the street. This wasn't a home anymore. It was a fortress under threat. Ava hugged herself as she walked, overwhelmed by the cold precision of it all. She didn't belong here, not among men who treated danger like routine paperwork. Luca walked beside her, hands clasped behind his back, gaze forward. But Ava noticed something the others didn't. Every few steps, his eyes flicked sideways, checking her, making sure she was still there, still steady. He was watching her, not suspiciously this time, protectively. When they reached the guest room, Luca opened the door for her. The room was immaculate neutral colors, soft lighting, a thick comforter she wanted to sink into. On the nightstand sat a bottle of water and a folded blanket, placed there by someone trying to anticipate her needs. "This isn't a prison," Luca said, reading her tense posture. "You can leave in the morning if it's safe." Ava swallowed. "And if it's not?" "Then I'll keep you here longer." His voice softened at the edges. "For your safety, not my convenience." She didn't know what to say to that. As she stepped inside, Luca paused in the doorway. His eyes lingered on her face a moment too long. "You were brave tonight," he said quietly. "More than you realize." Ava looked down, overwhelmed. When she looked up again, Luca was still watching her, like someone seeing something he didn't expect, something he wasn't sure he should want, and she realized with a jolt, the Mafia boss wasn't just protecting her. He was beginning to care. Ava lay awake long after the lights dimmed. The guest room was warm, quiet, too comfortable to feel real. The sheets smelled faintly of cedar and clean cotton luxuries her worn Brooklyn apartment had never known. But comfort didn't silence fear. Her mind replayed Adrian's face from the street, the way he'd stared at the penthouse like he owned the night. A soft knock startled her. She sat up. Yes! The door opened just enough for Luca to appear. His sleeves were pushed up, revealing strong forearms marked by old scars of evidence of a life far darker than the peaceful hush of the penthouse suggested. "You're awake," he said. Ava tried to smile. "Hard to sleep when your ex-boyfriend is stalking the building." Luca's expression hardened. "He won't touch you. I won't allow it." Ava didn't know why the certainty in his voice steadied her more than anything she'd told herself all night. He stepped inside but didn't cross the room fully. "The men are rotating shifts. No one's breaching this building." Ava nodded, though her fingers twisted nervously in the blanket. "Is Ella okay?" "She's asleep." His tone shifted, softening in a way she rarely heard. "She kept asking if you were safe." Ava's chest tightened. "She's a sweet kid. She doesn't warm to people easily," Luca said quietly. "Not since her mother died." Silence stretched between them, heavy but not uncomfortable. Then, suddenly, an explosion of sound. Glass shattering. Gunfire cracking through the night. Ava flinched violently. Luca turned toward the hallway in one sharp motion, pulling a weapon from the back of his waistband as naturally as breathing. "Stay here," he ordered. But Ava grabbed his arm. "Luca, don't go out there alone!" He paused, surprise flickering across his face. "You trust me that much?" "I just don't want Ella to lose her father," she whispered. For the first time since she met him, Luca looked shaken not by danger, but by her words. Another blast echoed from the lower floors. Luca recovered instantly. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me." He stepped into the hall and chaos rushed in. Men running. Radios blaring. A guard shouting that the south stairwell had been breached. Ava slammed the door, fumbling with the lock, heart pounding wildly. Then Ella screamed. Ava didn't think. She ran. She tore down the hallway, ignoring the guard yelling for her to turn back. She followed the sound into the dim dining room, where moonlight spilled through the broken glass of a shattered window. Ella was hiding under the table, sobbing. A masked man had just reached for her. Ava didn't even hear her own scream. She launched herself between them, grabbing a heavy vase and swinging with every ounce of fear in her body. It crashed against the man's arm, buying seconds, maybe less. He lunged toward her. A gunshot roared. The man collapsed. Luca stood behind him, breath cold, expression lethal. His eyes snapped to Ava, blazing with terror and fury. "You could have been killed," he said, voice trembling at the edges. Ava shook, clutching Ella. I couldn't let her face him alone. Luca stepped closer, jaw tightening with emotion he didn't name. "No," he said. "You're not alone. Not anymore." They left the penthouse before dawn, escorted through a private service elevator that opened directly into the basement garage. Ava kept Ella close, her arm wrapped protectively around the little girl's shoulders. Guards surrounded them like a moving wall of steel. The night's attack had changed everything. Luca wasn't taking chances, not with his daughter and not with Ava. A black Mercedes S-Class waited with its engine quietly humming, headlights casting long beams across the concrete floor. Luca opened the rear door himself, something none of his men dared to do for him, and motioned for Ava and Ella to enter. "You're relocating us?" Ava asked, voice trembling from exhaustion. "Yes." Luca's tone was firm but gentle. "The penthouse is compromised. Until we identify the leak, you and Ella stay where no one can reach you." "Where is that?" "Midtown. One of my secured apartments." "Secured," Ava echoed nervously. "You'll sleep," he added, seeing her fear. That's the priority. But sleep was the last thing Ava could imagine. The moment she settled into the leather seat, memories of the masked man lunging toward her replayed. Her palms still stung from gripping the heavy vase. Her heartbeat still hadn't returned to normal. Luca slid in beside her. The car pulled out quietly, merging into Manhattan's empty streets. Lights from Fifth Avenue reflected across the windows, painting the interior in gold and silver. It felt surreal, like a movie scene she never auditioned for. "Are you hurt?" he asked suddenly. Ava blinked. "I'm fine." "You're shaking." "That's adrenaline," she whispered. He didn't push, but his gaze lingered, studying her with something deeper than concern. Ella slept with her head on Ava's lap, fingers loosely curled around the fabric of Ava's shirt. Seeing the girl so peaceful after such terror made Ava's chest ache. "Does this happen often?" she asked quietly. "Attacks like tonight?" "For me?" Luca answered. "Yes. For her? Never again." His jaw tightened. Someone crossed a line. Ava hesitated, then spoke something she'd been scared to admit. I thought she was going to die. And I couldn't let that happen." Luca looked at her, eyes darkening with something raw. "You put yourself between my daughter and a gunman. That's not something people do for us." "I didn't think," Ava said. "I just moved." "That," Luca said, "is exactly what makes you dangerous." Ava frowned. "Dangerous?" He turned away, staring out at the skyline. "To me." The words hit her like a quiet blow. The car eventually stopped in front of a discreet building with mirrored glass and a private entrance. 2 guards swept the lobby before allowing them inside. Upstairs, the apartment was smaller than the penthouse, but still impossibly elegant warm lighting, neutral colors, a view of Central Park dusted in winter snow. Ava set Ella in a guest bed, tucking her beneath a soft blanket. When she stepped back into the living area, Luca was waiting. "You'll stay here until further notice," he said. "You're safe with me." Ava opened her mouth to respond, but a notification pinged on Luca's phone. He checked it, and his expression turned to ice. "It's Adrian," he said. He turned the screen toward her. A photo of Ava taken moments ago, entering the safe house. Ava stared at the photo on Luca's phone, her own silhouette framed under the safe house awning, Ella asleep in her arms. The timestamp read just minutes ago. Whoever took it had been close. Too close. A fresh tremor rolled through her body. "He's watching us," she whispered. Luca locked his phone, jaw tight. "He wants you afraid. He wants me distracted." His eyes lifted to hers. "He's succeeding at neither." Ava wasn't sure she believed him. Fear lived under her skin now, pulsing with every heartbeat. She moved to the window, pulling the curtains shut, though she knew they were bulletproof. Behind her, Luca exhaled. Not the sigh of a tired man, something heavier. "You need rest," he said softly. "I can't sleep," Ava murmured. "My mind won't stop." He stepped closer. "Tell me what it's saying." She turned, arms wrapped around herself. "That Ella almost got hurt. That I dragged danger into her life. That my mother has no idea where I am. That Adrian is out there." Her voice broke. "And I don't know why he wants me involved." Luca's gaze softened. The kind of softness he didn't seem to allow often. Maybe ever. "Ava, none of this is your fault. You don't know that." "I do." He paused. "Because if Adrian wanted you dead, you wouldn't be standing here. He wants something else. And until we know what, you're safer next to me than anywhere else in New York." She swallowed hard. "Why are you being so kind to me?" "Kind?" His mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Ava, this is me being cautious." But she shook her head. "You could have left me behind. You could have said I was a stranger, but you didn't." He looked away, staring at the dim glow of Central Park through the curtains. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter. "Ella hasn't clung to anyone since her mother died. She doesn't trust easily, yet she ran to you." He turned back to Ava. "That matters." Ava felt something warm unfold in her chest. Dangerous, unexpected. "I care about her. Ava admitted. I know. Luca stepped closer, close enough for her to feel the faint heat of him. And that terrifies me more than Adrian. Ava's breath caught. Why? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he studied her like she was a truth he'd avoided too long. Because caring makes people vulnerable, and vulnerability gets people killed. A knock interrupted the moment. A guard opened the door slightly. Boss, all cameras around the building are looping clean. No sign of Cole for the last hour. Luca nodded. Maintain perimeter. The guard left. Ava exhaled shakily. So what now? Luca's voice lowered again. Now you sleep. I'll stay outside your door. You don't have to, I do. His eyes met hers. Because whether you wanted it or not, you're under my protection. She hesitated, then whispered, Thank you. Luca's gaze lingered too long, too intense. Get some rest, Ava. She walked to the bedroom, feeling his eyes follow her until the door clicked shut. What she didn't see was the way he leaned against the wall afterward, running a hand through his hair, fighting emotions he'd buried years ago. Ava didn't remember falling asleep. One moment, she was staring at the ceiling, replaying Luca's words, You're under my protection, and the next, she was jolting awake to a vibration on the nightstand. Her phone. She hadn't even realized she brought it into bed. She reached for it groggily, then froze. One new message. Unknown number. A single image. It was her mother, sitting on their Brooklyn apartment couch, smiling at the camera like someone had just asked her to pose. Ava's breath shattered. No, no, no. Another message arrived. You didn't say goodnight tonight. She missed you. A cold wave rolled through her body. She scrambled out of bed, clutching the phone like it was burning her skin. Her legs nearly gave out as she staggered toward the door. She yanked it open, and Luca was already standing there. He looked like he hadn't moved all night. Arms crossed, back straight, eyes instantly sharp the second he saw her face. Ava? What happened? She thrust the phone toward him, her voice cracking. He found my mother. Luca took the phone, jaw tightening as he scanned the messages. When did this come in? Just now, Luca. He knows where she lives. He took the photo inside my building. Inside. Ava's voice trembled violently. He's not just after you. He's using the people I love to control me. Luca's voice darkened. He's escalating. He's going to hurt her, Ava whispered. He's going to punish me for being here. No. Luca stepped closer, gripping her shoulders with both hands, grounding her. I won't let that happen. How can you promise that? Ava's tears spilled over. You can't watch every place at once. I can watch the places that matter, he said firmly. And your mother just became one of them. Ava's head dropped. The weight of guilt crushed her. This is my fault. If I hadn't helped Ella. Ava, look at me. Luca lifted her chin gently. Helping my daughter was the best thing you've ever done. Adrian would have used you regardless. He's been waiting for a reason. But why me? She whispered. I'm nobody. His brows pulled together. You're not nobody. Before he could say more, a guard hurried down the hall. Boss Cole sent another message. To your private line. Luca's expression iced over. Show me. The guard handed him a tablet. A record of a voicemail. 30 seconds. Luca pressed play. Adrian's voice filled the hallway smooth, confident, venom-wrapped in charisma. Luca, you're getting sloppy. Letting a girl from Brooklyn into your home? Into your life? You should thank me. I'm reminding you how vulnerable you really are. Ava grabbed the wall to steady herself. Adrian continued. She cares about you. About the kid. Dangerous combination. Softens a man's edges. Makes him bleed easier. Luca's nostrils flared rage, simmering like a controlled flame. Oh, Adrian added lightly. And tell Ava her mother is lovely. Very trusting. Be a shame if that trust ended badly. The voicemail ended. Ava's body shook from head to toe. Luca turned to her slowly. Eyes fierce, protective, uncompromising. He crossed a line he will not come back from. Ava swallowed hard. What do we do now? Luca's reply was quiet, lethal. Now, Ava, we fight back. Ava felt her body move before her mind caught up. One moment she was standing beside Luca, trembling from Adrian's threats, and the next she was walking backward down the hall, shaking her head, tears burning hot across her cheeks. Luca followed immediately. Ava, no, she whispered, voice cracking. I can't do this anymore. She backed into the living area, gripping the edge of the counter for support. Her breath came in sharp, uneven gasps. My mother is innocent. She doesn't deserve to be dragged into your war. None of this is supposed to touch her. Luca's expression tightened, not angry, but wounded. Ava, listen to me. You don't get it, she burst out. You're used to violence. You expect betrayal. But my life isn't built for this. I can't breathe knowing someone might be watching her. I can't sleep wondering if Adrian is waiting outside her door. Luca stepped closer. We're going to protect her. You can't promise that. Ava wiped her face, her hands trembling. You can't even guarantee your own safety. Silence hit the room like a punch. Luca's jaw flexed. You think I'm the reason you're in danger? I know you are, Ava whispered. Because if I had walked past Ella last night, none of this would be happening. He froze. A single beat of stillness, then another, and something inside him fractured. So you regret it? He asked quietly. Helping her? Ava's heart twisted. I regret dragging my mother into this. I regret that Ella is in danger. I regret that Adrian is using me to hurt you. She swallowed. I don't regret helping her, but I regret everything that came after. Luca looked away, staring at the floor like her words had carved into him. When he looked back up, the softness in him was gone, buried under disappointment, exhaustion, and something sharp enough to sting her. I didn't ask for you to get involved, he said. But you are, and running won't change that. I'm not running, Ava whispered. I'm going home. Luca stiffened. No, you're not. I'm not your prisoner. You're under my protection. I don't want your protection, Ava shouted. The words hit him like a blow. Before either of them could speak again, Ella appeared in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. Papa! Ava! Why are you yelling? Ava's chest caved inward. She turned away, ashamed of the fear she was putting into this little girl. Luca knelt, voice gentle for his daughter. It's all right, sweetheart. Go back to bed. Ella didn't move. She looked between them, worried. Are you mad at Ava? Ava's voice wavered. No, honey, I just need to think. Ella walked to her slowly, wrapping tiny arms around Ava's waist. Don't leave. The plea shattered her. Ava hugged her tightly, tears slipping into the girl's hair. I'm not leaving right now, okay? I just need air. She handed Ella gently to Luca and stepped back. Luca stood holding his daughter, his face unreadable except for his eyes. His eyes said everything he refused to voice. Don't walk away, not from her, not from me. But Ava did walk away into the guest room, closing the door with shaking hands. On the other side, Luca exhaled a breath that sounded almost like pain. Ava barely slept. When dawn began leaking through the curtains, she finally sat up, pressing her palms to her face. Her eyes ached, her chest burned. She felt like she had been hollowed out and left to echo with fear. She needed answers. She needed a way out. She needed a miracle. But what she got was a knock. 3 quick taps, sharp, familiar, not Luca's. Ava tensed. Who is it? A calm female voice responded. Ava Miller, it's Nora Jensen, from Brooklyn Public Library. Ava's heart jolted. She hadn't heard that name in years. Back when she worked 2 jobs, cafe by day, shelving books by night. Nora was the only person who noticed how exhausted she was. A detective then, now with the FBI. Nora? Ava cracked the door open just enough to see her. Same steady eyes, same quiet intensity, same aura of someone who knew more than she said. Nora stepped inside quickly, closing the door behind her. We don't have long. Your building was compromised. I intercepted Adrian's men near the entrance. They were looking for your mother. Ava's breath fractured. Is she alive? She's fine, we relocated her. But Adrian isn't stopping. Ava sank onto the bed, dizzy. Why me? Why Ella? Why all of this? Nora crossed her arms. Because Adrian Cole is not after Luca's empire anymore. He's after revenge. Revenge for what? Nora hesitated. Adrian is the one who ordered the hit on Luca's wife 3 years ago. Everything inside Ava stilled. What? She whispered. Nora continued, voice steady but grave. Luca's wife discovered evidence linking Adrian to arms trafficking. She tried to warn Luca. She never made it home. A small pause. Ella witnessed part of it. Ava's stomach dropped. She saw her mother? Nora nodded. Since then, Adrian's been waiting for the perfect moment to finish what he started. Taking Ella would destroy Luca. Using you brings Luca off balance. Ava gripped the blanket to stop her shaking. He's using me because I'm weak. No. Nora kneeling in front of her. Because you're the first thing in years Luca cares about that he didn't expect. The room swayed around Ava. I never wanted to be part of this. I know. Nora squeezed her hand. But you can help end it. Ava looked up, eyes shining with fear. How? Nora pulled a flash drive from her pocket. This contains every file Luca's wife died protecting. If we get this to the right people, Adrian is finished. Ava stared. Why me? Why not Luca? Because Adrian won't hesitate to kill Luca on sight, Nora said. But he still underestimates you. And that's an advantage. A soft click came from the hallway. Ava and Nora both turned. Luca stood at the door, having heard enough to freeze him mid-step. His eyes locked on Ava first, then the flash drive in Nora's hand. What? He asked quietly, dangerously. Are you two planning without me? And the look on his face said one thing clearly. He wasn't sure whether to be furious or terrified. Luca didn't move for a long moment. He just stood there, framed in the doorway, shadow slicing across his face, as if the world itself wasn't sure how to light him. His eyes, normally sharp and controlled, flicked from Ava to Nora, then finally to the flash drive in Nora's hand. Ava, he said quietly, you're planning to walk into a war with information that can get you killed. Nora rose slowly, keeping herself between him and Ava. She won't be alone. I didn't ask you, Luca snapped. Ava stepped forward, heart pounding. Luca, we're trying to help. Help? His voice deepened. By hiding things from me? By putting yourself directly in Adrian's crosshairs? After everything he's already done to you? To you, Ava corrected softly. He did this to you and Ella long before I showed up. That landed. Hard. Luca's jaw clenched as he approached. His presence filled the room, commanding and overwhelming. You should have come to me first. Ava met his gaze, refusing to shrink. Would you have let me do it? No. His answer was instant. Because I cannot lose you. Ava's breath caught. Nora looked between them and exhaled sharply. Okay, clearly you two need to work this out, but right now we have bigger issues. Adrian is moving faster than we expected. I need someone inside his circles, someone he thinks he can manipulate. That's Ava. Luca's expression darkened with warning. He doesn't manipulate her, not now, not ever again. Ava stepped between them. Both of you stop. This isn't about pride or revenge. It's about ending this before someone dies. Luca's gaze softened a fraction. You don't understand how dangerous he is. I do, Ava said quietly. I dated him, remember? I know exactly how charming he can be, and how cruel. Nora placed the flash drive in Ava's palm. We leak these files during Adrian's gala tomorrow night. It's the only time his entire operation will be in one place. Luca reacted instantly. No, absolutely not. She's not walking into a room full of armed men. Ava swallowed. I'll have you there. He stared at her, stunned. You'd trust me after last night? Ava's voice trembled. Yes. Because I know you would never let anything happen to your daughter. And somewhere between all of this, you stopped wanting anything to happen to me, too. The honesty cracked something open in him. His shoulders lowered, his voice softened. Ava, you have no idea what you're risking. I'm risking myself. she whispered. Not your men. Not your daughter. Me. Luca lifted a hand, hesitated, then gently touched her cheek, thumb brushing away a tear she didn't know had fallen. I will not lose you, not like I lost her. Ava placed her hand over his. Then help me end this. Silence stretched. Then Luca nodded. Fine. We do it together, all of us. But before any of them could breathe, a sudden beep echoed from Nora's device. A live transmission, coordinates. Nora's face drained. Ava, she whispered. Adrian already knows about the gala plan. Ava's heart lurched, and the message on the screen said one chilling thing. If you want your mother back, come alone. Ava stared at the message until the words blurred. If you want your mother back, come alone? Her heart hammered so loudly she couldn't hear anything else. Not Nora's sharp inhale, not Luca's low curse, not the distant hum of traffic outside the safe house. Her mother, her only family. The one person who had always believed she was stronger than her circumstances. She looked up, breath trembling. I have to go. Luca stepped forward immediately. No, absolutely not. She's my mother, Luca. Ava's voice cracked. I can't leave her with him. Nora shook her head. Ava, he's playing you. He wants leverage. He knows you'll walk straight into it. Ava turned away, pacing the room, fingers pressed to her temples. Her mind raced images of her mother smiling on the couch, then terrified under Adrian's control. The thought alone hollowed her out. I don't have a choice, she whispered. Yes, you do, Luca countered, voice low, dangerous. You choose to stay alive. Ava spun toward him, tears brimming. How would you feel if it were Ella? That hit him like a blade. Luca flinched subtle, but unmistakable. His breath left him in a controlled exhale. That's not fair. It's the truth. Luca stepped closer until he was inches away. Ava, listen to me. He wants you isolated. He wants you desperate. And worst of all, he wants me to follow you into a trap. He knows I will. Ava swallowed hard. Would you? His jaw tightened. Yes. The word hung between them, electric and raw. Nora exhaled sharply. Ava, at least let us track you. Let us set a perimeter. Let us be involved. Ava shook her head. He said, come alone. If he sees anything he doesn't like, he'll kill her. He's not bluffing. Luca grabbed her wrist gently but firmly, pulling her attention back to him. Ava, look at me. She did, though it made her chest ache. You walked into my life and protected my daughter without hesitation, he said. Let me protect the woman who did that. His voice softened to something she almost didn't recognize. Let me protect you. For a moment, she wavered. Then her phone buzzed again. A new photo. Her mother blindfolded now, a timestamp only minutes old. Ava's breath shattered. I'm going. Luca's grip tightened. Ava, I have to. Her voice came out as a broken whisper. I can't live with myself if something happens to her. Nora stepped forward. At least tell us the coordinates. If you won't let us come, we need to know where to find you. Ava hesitated. Luca cupped her face with both hands, his forehead nearly touching hers. Please, he murmured, voice raw. Don't do this alone. A tear slid down her cheek. I'm sorry. She slipped out of his grasp. Luca didn't chase her, but his voice followed her like a vow carved into stone. Ava, I will find you, no matter where he takes you. I'm not losing you, too. Ava arrived at the coordinates Adrian sent a derelict shipping warehouse on the outskirts of Queens, where the wind howled through broken windows and the air smelled of rust and danger. Streetlights flickered overhead, barely illuminating the cracked pavement. It was the kind of place meant for secrets, ambushes, endings. Her footsteps echoed as she stepped inside. Mom? She whispered, voice shaking. No answer. A light flickered on overhead, sudden, blinding. Ava shielded her eyes. Then she saw him. Adrian stepped out from the shadows, immaculate as ever in a tailored black coat, hands clasped behind his back, like he was greeting an old friend. Ava Miller, he said with a slow smile. You came, just like I knew you would. Where is she? Ava demanded. Where's my mother? He tilted his head. Always straight to the point. That's one of the things I liked about you. He walked a slow circle around her, predatory and calm. It's a shame you wasted all that loyalty on the wrong man. Ava flinched, but stood her ground. Show me my mother. Adrian sighed dramatically. Patience. He nodded to a guard, who dragged a chair into the circle of light. Ava's mother sat slumped in it alive, conscious, but terrified. A blindfold still covered her eyes. Her hands were tied. Mom! Ava surged forward. Adrian blocked her effortlessly, fingers gripping her arm. Let's not ruin the moment. Ava yanked away. Why are you doing this? Because, Adrian said, smiling like he was discussing weather. Luca Moretti took something from me. I take something from him. Balance. You used me, she spat. You always used me. Of course I did, he said simply. You were convenient, sweet, desperate to be loved. Perfect leverage. He leaned closer. But then Luca became interested in you, and I can't allow him to have anything I touched first. Ava felt tears sting her eyes not from heartbreak, but from rage. You're sick. And you're knave, Adrian replied. Men like Moretti don't care about women like you. He's using you just as I did. Ava shook her head fiercely. You don't know him. Oh, but I do. His smile widened. And right about now, he's losing his mind trying to find you. Ava's stomach twisted. Adrian stepped back and lifted a hand. His men raised their weapons. You see, Ava, you were supposed to deliver that flash drive tonight. You were supposed to ruin him. But now? He shrugged lightly. Now you'll die, and Luca will break, and a broken man is easy to replace. A gun cocked. Ava closed her eyes. A thunderous crash ripped through the warehouse. Metal screamed, windows shattered, shouts burst from every direction. And then she heard him. Ava! Her eyes flew open. Luca Moretti stormed through the hole his men had blown in the side of the building, eyes blazing with fury and fear. He moved like a force of nature, relentless, unstoppable, deadly. The steel wall had come for her. He locked eyes with her across the chaos. Get away from her! Luca roared, and the entire warehouse shook under the sound. Gunfire exploded through the warehouse as Luca's men flooded in, forming a wall between Ava and Adrian's guards. The air filled with smoke, shouting, the metallic sting of adrenaline. But all Ava could see was Luca moving toward her, with a singular, burning focus that made the world narrow to the space between them. Ava! He shouted again. She stumbled toward him, but two of Adrian's men intercepted her, grabbing her arms. She cried out, struggling. Luca didn't hesitate. He fired 2 precise shots, dropping both men before they could drag her away. The moment they hit the ground, he reached her. His hands cupped her face, scanning her frantically as if making sure she was whole. Did he hurt you? He breathed, voice heavy with fear he couldn't hide. No, Ava whispered, tears already spilling. But he has my mother, I know. Luca turned slightly, signaling his men. Find her. Now. More of his men swept the warehouse, while Luca held Ava close, shielding her with his body. She hadn't realized she was shaking until he wrapped an arm around her, grounding her in the middle of the chaos. You shouldn't have come alone, he murmured, voice raw. You would have done the same for Ella, she whispered back. Their eyes locked, an understanding passing between them, unspoken but painfully clear. Before Luca could respond, a slow, sarcastic clap echoed across the room. Adrian! He stepped onto a metal walkway above them, leaning casually against the railing. Touching reunion, he drawled. Almost makes me believe in true love. Luca moved Ava behind him in one fluid motion. Your mistake, he said coldly, was thinking I wouldn't tear this building apart to get her back. Adrian smirked. Your men can kill mine. You can burn this place down, but you'll never stop what's coming. You're done, Cole, Luca said. It ends tonight. Adrian chuckled. Is that what your wife thought before she died? Luca snapped. A roar tore from him, pure, primal fury, and he fired at Adrian with deadly precision. But Adrian dodged back behind the railing, disappearing into the maze of metal walkways. Luca took a step to follow, but Ava grabbed his arm. "No! He wants you chasing him. He wants you alone." His chest heaved, rage pulsing through every line of his body, but her voice, her touch cut through it. "Ava," he whispered, turning to her. "I thought I lost you." "You didn't," she said softly. "I'm right here." He cupped her face again, thumb brushing her cheek. The world around them blurred, the shouting, the gunfire, the danger. There was only this moment, fragile and impossible. "I need you safe," he said, "more than I've needed anything in years." Ava's breath trembled. "Luca!" Before she could finish, one of his men shouted, "Boss, we found her, Ava's mother." Ava gasped, spinning toward the sound, but Luca didn't let go of her hand. "Stay with me," he whispered, "because I'm not letting you walk into darkness alone ever again." Ava's legs nearly gave out when she saw her mother being helped out from behind a stack of crates. Two of Luca's men supported her, gently untying her wrists. Her mother blinked under the dim warehouse lights, dazed but alive. Ava ran to her, collapsing into her arms with a sob that came from somewhere deep and raw. "Mom, I'm here. You're safe. I'm here." Her mother trembled, holding her tight. "Ava, what is happening?" Ava couldn't answer. She didn't have the words. Not yet. Luca stood close, giving them a moment, but his attention flicked constantly around the warehouse. His instincts sharpened, dangerous. He knew Adrian wasn't finished, not until he had the last word. And he was right. A metallic clang rang above them. Adrian appeared on the catwalk again, gun drawn, eyes wild not with fear, but with the desperation of a man watching his empire crumble. "Touching," he hissed. "Truly touching. But this ends the way it was always meant to." He aimed directly at Ava. Luca didn't hesitate. He shoved Ava and her mother behind a crate, moving so fast it blurred, placing himself directly in Adrian's line of fire. "Adrian!" Luca roared. "You want someone? Take me! Leave them out of this!" Adrian laughed, a sharp, broken sound. "You think I came here to kill you?" "No, Luca. I came here to watch you lose everything again." He fired. The bullet hit the ground, inches from Luca's foot, thrown off by a sudden jolt, as one of Luca's men tackled the ladder Adrian had been standing on. Adrian stumbled, but regained his balance, firing wildly now. Chaos erupted. Luca returned fire, steady and precise. His men moved in coordinated formation, pushing Adrian back step by step. But Adrian fought like a cornered animal, refusing to fall, refusing to surrender. Ava watched with her heart in her throat. She could see it, the hatred twisting Adrian's face, the sense of entitlement, the belief that the world owed him power. He locked eyes with her again, raising his gun. "Ava, this is your fault, all of it. You walked away from me. You chose him. A shot cracked through the warehouse. Adrian jerked. He dropped his gun. For a moment, he just stared downward, confused, staring at the blood blooming across his chest like a dark flower. He turned slowly toward the shooter. "Luca?" The Mafia boss didn't flinch, didn't waver. "You don't get to speak her name again." Adrian's body buckled. He gripped the railing, breath rattling, mouth twisting in disbelief as his legs gave out. He fell backward off the catwalk, landing hard on the concrete floor below. Silence followed. Ava's mother clung to her. Luca lowered his weapon, chest rising and falling sharply, not from exertion, but from the raw fear of what almost happened. Ava stepped toward him, voice shaking. "Luca," he turned, and for the first time since she met him, she saw him falter. Saw relief break him, saw the man beneath the legend. He walked to her slowly, like a man returning to something he'd lost forever. When he reached her, he cupped her face with trembling hands. "You're safe," he whispered. "Thank God you're safe." But neither of them knew the fight wasn't over. Someone else had been watching from the shadows. The ambulance lights flashed against the warehouse walls as Ava watched paramedics check her mother. They confirmed what she prayed for, no major injuries, only bruising and exhaustion. Relief washed over Ava so hard she nearly collapsed. Her mother cupped her cheek gently. "Sweetheart, you saved me." "No," Ava whispered, glancing toward Luca, who stood a few yards away, speaking with his men. "We saved each other." For the first time since this nightmare began, the weight on her chest eased. Ella ran into the warehouse moments later, escorted by 2 guards. The moment she saw Ava, she broke into a sprint. "Ava!" She wrapped her tiny arms around Ava's waist, holding on like she never planned to let go again. Ava crouched and hugged her back tightly. "Hey, sweet girl, you okay?" Ella nodded, face buried against her. "Papa said you were brave." Ava swallowed the lump in her throat. "We were all brave tonight." When she looked up, Luca was already watching her. Again. That same look he'd worn in the safe house, fear and relief tangled with something deeper, something he wasn't hiding anymore. He approached slowly, as if making sure she wouldn't run. "How's your mother?" he asked. "She'll be okay." Ava stood. "Thanks to you." Luca shook his head. "Thanks to us. You put yourself between a killer and the people you love. That's not something I take lightly." Ava looked down at her scraped palms, where dried blood still clung. "I didn't feel brave." "Bravery doesn't feel like anything," Luca said softly. "It just happens because the alternative is losing someone you can't lose." Ava's breath caught at the way he said it, like she was someone he couldn't lose. Nora arrived then, her expression equal parts stern and proud. "Adrian's operation is breaking apart. Federal teams are moving in now. His remaining allies are turning on each other. This is the beginning of the end." Ava exhaled shakily. "So it's really over?" "Almost." Nora lowered her voice. "Tonight, you gave us enough evidence to dismantle a criminal empire. You did something no one else could." Ava blinked. "I didn't do anything special." Luca stepped closer. "You did everything that mattered." There was a softness in his eyes she hadn't seen since he held Ella after the attack. Raw, human, unguarded. He hesitated, then reached inside his coat and pulled out a small, familiar object. A worn paperback book with creased corners. "Ella picked this out for you," he said. "Women who run with the wolves. She said you're one of them." Ava laughed through her tears. "She's too sweet." "She's right," Luca murmured. Ava brushed her thumb over the book cover. "What about you? Are you okay?" Luca sighed, shoulders dropping for the first time all night. "I will be. Because you're safe. Because I didn't lose you too." Ava stepped closer. "Luca, you didn't just protect me. You helped me find a part of myself I thought I lost years ago." Their eyes held, warm and searching. Ella tugged Ava's sleeve, smiling up at both of them. "Can we go home now?" Ava exchanged a glance with Luca. "Yeah," she whispered, voice trembling with something new, something hopeful. "Let's go home." But as they walked out together, none of them realized the final reckoning still waited quiet, inevitable, and already in motion. The morning sun rose gently over Manhattan, washing the skyline in gold. It felt surreal to Ava after everything that had happened, after the fear, after the warehouse, after the moments she thought she might never see daylight again. Here she was, standing beside Luca and Ella, outside the safe house, breathing in the cool, clean air, like it was her first breath in years. Her mother had already been transported to a protected location with federal supervision until the case fully closed. Ava hugged her goodbye with a promise to visit soon. She never wanted danger to come close to her family again. Not ever. Ella tugged Ava's hand. "Are we really going home?" the little girl asked, eyes bright and hopeful. Ava knelt to her level. "Yes, sweetheart, we're really going home." Luca stood a few steps away, watching them quietly. He looked different in the morning, lightless, like the feared Moretti boss. More like a man who hadn't slept in days, a man who had been terrified of losing someone he cared about. His coat fluttered in the breeze, but his eyes stayed focused on Ava, steady and warm. When she rose and walked toward him, his breath hitched just slightly. "How's your mother?" he asked. "Safe," Ava said. "And grateful. She wants to meet you someday." One corner of Luca's mouth lifted. "I'd like that." For the first time, the idea didn't scare her. It didn't feel impossible. Because standing here now, alive, whole, surrounded by people she loved, it felt like the world had shifted. Like the impossible had already happened. They walked together toward the waiting car. A modest one this time, not the intimidating fleet he usually traveled with. It felt like he was choosing peace, just for today. Halfway there, Luca stopped. "Ava," he said quietly. She turned. His eyes held something vulnerable, unshielded, honest. She had never seen him like this, not even when he thought he might lose her. "I owe you more than protection," he said, "more than gratitude. You changed everything for Ella and for me." Ava felt her heart swell, trembling at the edges. "Luca, no." He took her hand gently but firmly. "Let me say this." She nodded. He exhaled slowly. "My life has been nothing but war for years. I thought that was all I deserved. But then Ella smiled again because of you. And I started to breathe again because of you." His thumb brushed her knuckles. "If you choose to walk away, I'll let you go. But if you stay, I swear, I will spend the rest of my life protecting not just your safety, but your peace." Her eyes blurred with tears. "I don't want to walk away." Luca's breath caught. "I want to see where this goes," Ava whispered. "I want to see what our life could look like without fear." Ella ran up then, wrapping both of them in a hug. "We can be a family," she said matter-of-factly. Ava laughed through tears. "Yeah," she whispered. "We can." Luca pulled them close, his voice deep and full of emotion he no longer hid. "Then let's go home." And for the first time in a long, painful, violent journey, it felt like the beginning not of danger, not of fear, but of healing, love, and a future they never thought they'd deserve. A future they would build together. So that's how our story comes to an end, and if you are still here, right now, listening to these last words, then something in this journey must have touched your heart in its own quiet way. And maybe that's the real reminder we all need today. Ari ang gi, ac, ini ang di, tam ti, ini iit, li ti enich, bi kyung si the, I re I, kon du, I. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Every hardship Ava faced didn't break her. It shaped her, strengthened her, prepared her for a life she didn't know she deserved. And you, my friend, sitting here with us until this very moment, maybe you've walked through your own storms too. Maybe you're still walking through them. But remember, kindness is not weakness. Courage doesn't always look loud. Healing begins the moment you choose not to give up on yourself. If this story touched something in you, hey jilam mot kai, gijojang kan mot chativong, van han subscribe jahong below, nhang hin thok chua lan tiep thion ha. You're not alone. We're right here with you.